Do you like my YouTube videos? If you do, please leave a comment and actually click on the like button. And if you want, you can hit subscribe. That way you can stay up to date with all my YouTube videos. Hey, and go ahead and click that bell icon to be notified. Thanks. Take care, guys.
I feel like I should start a reptile cooking show. And I don't know, it'd be like its own thing. Here we are, cooking for reptiles. Except the cooking for reptiles isn't really cooking. It's just, I guess, more preparing stuff. Yeah, I don't know. What do we got? We got turnip greens. We got a bowl. Got some multivitamin. This has calcium in it. This does not have vitamin D3. And we've got some bee pollen. Great probiotic. Great to get things. So, you know, you really can't trick people anymore because you have to have a good title and everything to get views, or else I could be like, guess who's going to eat salad today? But no, we know that this is going to Simba, my Savannah monitor. And I thought I'd talk more about the Savannah monitor diet as I go over preparing his food. And his preparation's pretty simple. I pull the leaves off of the stem, and then for him, I leave them in pretty large chunks like this so he can get them good. They're going to go in here because this is where they'll get misted and seasoned. So that's pretty good. So wait, some people be like, huh? You're getting a salad, leaves for Savannah monitors? You know, I get it all the time, although I think it's starting to go away from they're only supposed to eat insects. And guys, that can't be more wrong. And I'll kind of go over to why the old thought was they're only supposed to eat insects. But again, I've said it before, these guys in the wild, they are creatures of opportunity. They will eat anything they can get. They're from an area in Africa there that, you know, has a dry season and a wet season. And when the dry season comes, it's dry for a long time. So during the wet season, they will eat anything they can find, including lizards, bird carcass, eggs, but it just so happens that they also, unlike other monitors, you know, blackthroats and things like that, they will also dig and eat bugs because they don't have a wide season of eating. This is a good little amount of greens for them. We're then going to mist them down, get them wet. It's a good amount of hydration, and also it's going to help everything stick. So because they have a limited amount of eating, for these 3 or 4 months where they can really feast, that's what they do. They feast, and they blow themselves up. It looks like balloons. They're getting ready to pop. And then they'll climb up in a tree, and they'll pretty much live in the tree the entire dry season. And at the end of the dry season, when the wet season is starting, they will come out of the tree, and they will be super skinny. It's called diapause for them. They're not the only reptile, amphibian. They're not the only thing that does a diapause. And they'll come out and they'll be skinny, and then they'll eat again, and then they repeat this process. And again, that's mostly done because that's just when the food is available. So then what's the problem with the pet Savannah monitor? People said, oh, okay, this is another problem to one of those studies, is they would catch some dead Savannah monitors and they would cut them open in the wild, and they would say, oh, look, inside their stomach, there's bugs. In fact, I think it's savannahmonitor.org or something. This website is so good for information, but also so bad. And I'm just mixing it up here, guys. Because they'll say, okay, look, it had bugs in its stomach. So you know what that means? They only eat bugs. And this is really bad because they talk about they did this to one Savannah monitor, and that's what it had in its stomach. They also showed some Savannah monitors that people had as pets that died, and they would do an autopsy on the body there, and they would say they died to fatty liver disease. The Savannah monitor as a pet is much heavier than the Savannah monitors were weighing in the wild. Except, again, when you look at the study, where they found the two fat cells were in the base of the tail. not on the liver. So wouldn't fatty liver disease be fat accumulated on the liver, not in the base of the tail where the reptile does store excess fat that it can then live off of for, a long time when there's not food? So there's some more bad information. Now, most Savannah monitors that are pets, there was a couple things that were being done wrong for them. One, absolutely they were being overfed, and we'll get into that. And two, temperatures were too high. Temperatures were 140, 160. Basking spot. Where is there really a 160 degree platform that something's laying on? Now, I get it. As a pet, your monitor will move in and out. So if it goes there, it thermoregulates. It goes there, it gets hot, and it moves away. But like I've told people, and I've found great Savannah monitors living 10, 20 years, 15 years, and still being healthy, and they're still alive. The basking spot itself is only about 110, 115, maybe it gets to 120, and that's it. And then you know what happens? Your monitor sits there and basks for most of the day, which is great, especially if it's got food in its stomach and it needs to digest. So it can lay on that, and all the food can help digest in its stomach. If it's too hot, your monitor is going to go there, and it's going to get out of there, because your air temperature, to get a basking spot that hot, that heater, that light is just pumping down heat, right? And it's hot, 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 hot. So, and I saw that with Simba. As his basking spot was too hot, he would go up there for a little bit, and then he'd get down. And then his stool, again, we're looking at poop, guys. You got to look at poop. His poop wouldn't be as formed. It wouldn't be as healthy. When I lowered his basking spot, he would go and he would stretch completely out on that big piece of slate I have and just absorb all that heat and help him digest. And then his stool was always nicely formed. Everything was digested, including greens. And that's how you know they can eat greens. So how do you know, can your lizard eat these things? Well, if you give them food that they can eat, you're then going to see how they digest. If he pushed these through his stomach whole, or it gave him runny stool, then I know he's not processing this. But when he eats greens, he has a nice formed stool. The green's been all digested, so I know he's getting the vitamins from this, and he's really healthy. So that's a plus. Okay, so we've got these greens ready. We're going to go over to him. I'll show you him eating them, and then we're going to talk a little bit more. All right, here we are at Mr. Playboy's tank when he's getting ready to eat. So I'm gonna pick him up. I'm gonna put him up here just so he'll be eating right in front of the camera. No other reason. I also do like to feed him up there. That way, anything he shakes on the ground doesn't pick up a bunch of cocoa fiber. So let's get back to where we are. But I want to show you guys how he eats his greens. Can you eat him in front of the camera? Yes. Yes, you can. Oh, goodness. So, he's gonna... Oh, he dropped it. He kind of messes around with it. He likes to chew it. Crunchy. Here we go. Here's what we're gonna do. Back up. Back up. There you go. Let me lower this camera a little bit. Okay. So, we've gotten this far. We're talking about their health information. Everything's fine. What about... Savannah monitors? For the longest time, they were kept in like totes, in tubs, almost like a rack system. But Savannah monitors need UVB lighting, right? Well, not exactly, and I'll go into that, because Simba had no UV lighting, and you can see how fine he is, and he has no MBD. And why is that? So why do most lizards need UVB lighting? Well, the truth is they don't actually need the UVB lighting itself. They need what the UVB lighting does for them. So the UVB light allows their body to naturally produce vitamin D. And look at, you drop this right in the cocoa fiber. And they need vitamin D because they need their body. I know, now you got it. Now I might have to clean that. They need their body to produce vitamin D. That way it will allow their cells and their bones, basically it allows their body to absorb calcium. And they need calcium because, among other vitamins, to be healthy. Calcium specifically to have them have healthy bones. Otherwise they'll get MBD. Can you kind of eat in frame? I put the camera here, you eat down. I put the camera high, you eat down. I put the camera low, you eat high. You're specifically moving outside of the camera. Why are you doing that? Okay. So now we know. Good job. I know you put cocoa fiber on this. So now we know that they need vitamin D. They need vitamin D to absorb calcium, and it also allows their cells to absorb other things other than calcium, other vitamins, other nutrients that they need. Okay, so what happens when they were surviving for 10 years as pets inside totes that didn't have UVB, and they weren't getting metabolic bone disease, and they were living to be okay? That's because you can supplement the vitamin D. So there are calcium powders for reptiles that have vitamin D3 in it, which is really important that you pay attention when you get calcium. Are you getting a calcium with vitamin D3? Because you can give them too much vitamin D. So if they have strong UVB, your calcium should not have vitamin D3 in it. It should be without, because they're going to get natural production. And what will happen, the reason why too much vitamin D3 is bad, is you'll overload their cells with D3, and that will stop their cells from absorbing any type of vitamin because they're full on vitamin D. So you don't want them to absorb too much vitamin D, because then they can't absorb vitamin A, all the other vitamins that they need. So you need to have, a healthy balance of vitamins. Okay, so your Savannah monitor as a pet. What's the problem then? The problem is they're eating. But I just talked about how it's not their eating, or you can really fix this or fix that. Yeah, I went over all that, but the problem that comes back to their eating is, why do you always play with your food? Can I ask you that? The problem with their eating is they're still overfed as pets. So because their body is made to be able to really just gorge itself and become, so full for when they're in the wild to survive, they don't realize that as a pet. So they have the ability built into them to gorge themselves. So if we provide them food, too much food, and too fatty of food all the time, that's just what they're going to do for every single meal. They're just going to gorge themselves, and they're going to get too fat, which is going to lead to a host of problems. Trouble breathing, unhealthy. Yes, fatty liver can be one of them. And just weaken their immune system, making them susceptible to, every type of disease under the sun. So you still have to monitor what you feed them, but that doesn't mean that your Savannah monitor has to only eat bugs. Simba eats bugs. He eats vegetables. He eats meat. Now, meat I do feed him that's not whole prey is very lean. So if I feed him beef, it's, 95% lean, 5% fat. If I feed him turkey, that's more lean. If I feed him chicken, it's skinless chicken breast, 99% fat free. So he'll get the protein, he'll get that, but he does get some fat in his foods. Obviously, when you feed him bugs have fat. Depending on which bugs you feed them, they'll have more. Superworms and mealworms will have more fat. You licked and so much spit came out on me because your mouth is all sloppy. So this is just, I wanted to show you guys Simba eating his little salad, in this case playing with it, which is what he always does, and then he takes them down. He gobbles them down. Hi. You always eat the bowl. When I give you salads, you always want to eat the bowl instead of the salad, because the bowl has the flavor of the salad. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care, everyone.
Thank you guys for supporting my reptile rescue family.